tied up 1-1 as Team Wish takes on Team Liquid. And with us going to Game 3, Kaldor, Glorong, who's going to win this thing?
I don't know, and I like it. Like,
Glorong.
that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see 5 maps today.
I don't know, man. Like, Game 1, I expected Wish to come out on top, and then Team Liquid showed, like, insane synergy as a team. And then Game 2, I still voted for Wish. Like,
Sure.
Thank goodness. But my gut was saying Team Liquid. My gut was saying Team Liquid. And honestly, I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the series. Team Wish showed in that last game a lot of patience, a lot of discipline. Because when you're playing against an Oriole Vala with a medic, it's really easy to just let yourself get caught off guard and thrown in a really bad position. But they had the patience and discipline to not let that happen. So I don't know. I kind of want Wish to win. They're like my underdog.
There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to hold that back. It's fine.
But yeah, man, BOE, I love this map. I'm excited to see what is brought out here.
Well,
Spoilers,
Glorong
dude.
just cheated.
Dang!
He looked at the screen here. Let's go to game number 3.
He's cheating. He's doing what usually Tim does.
Hey, man. But I do it, like, casually. Like, I'm subliminal. I'm like, man, I would really love to see BOE
Yeah,
soon.
exactly. You're doing the casual bragging where I'm like, I really think they should go to BOE. It's a good map for them. Oh my god, look at that. They do it.
Man, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. It's show business.
Yeah,
you know?
Prediction King right
That's
over
how
here.
it is. Glorong's doing good. You just hide it a little bit, you're
Okay,
good to go.
okay.
All right, so BOE. Here's where you guys were talking about where I'm a little bit worried about Team Liquid. In the last 3 series that they've had, they've always come out in Game 1, Game number 2. Had that cohesion, a little bit better, looking great. And then Game 3, Game 4, it seems to fall apart pretty heavily for them. Does that happen here against them, even with the boot camp?
On a map like BOE, whenever I watch Team Liquid play this map, I don't know, it kind of illustrates the point you were saying. They seem very hit or miss on this map to me. When they're on point, they look very scary,
Sure.
but then when they struggle, it's very apparent. And I think after having lost the momentum to Wish in that last game, maybe Team Liquid should be a little bit worried. But at the same time, like, their performance in Game 1 cannot be counted out. I still see the potential for Team Liquid to just do really well in this game.
Now, for me, there's one crucial factor. They are actually at a boot camp. So after the first map, or sorry, after the second map, this is the best map for them to lose because they have a 5-minute break afterwards where they can just like stand up, can walk it off for like a
regain
minute and
composure.
just say, okay guys, come on, we can do this. What went wrong? Let's talk this through. And they have the advantage of being in that offline setup where they can just talk to each other. So it's much better than just simply sitting in a voice comm where you talk to your teammates online. So I think that gives them an advantage going into this right now. But I mean, we all know how strong Team Wish is. So I don't know, first map, Liquid had a couple of moments already throughout the entire Phase 2 Part 2 where they looked strong on the first one and then they fell completely apart. I think with the environment that they're in right now, they should be able to overcome that and at least make this a very close game.
I really do like that Wish has kept up the trend of banning Genji, because it really shows that they just want to take this set from a standard perspective, and Team Liquid denies the task star that Wish has shown twice now. And I think, oh wow, this draft is going really fast, guys.
Right.
Tracer Abathur.
That is actually something that we have seen from the French teams in the past a lot, especially in 2016. We had a lot of Tracer Abathur if you couldn't get access to Tacita, and then you have a double Tacita as a potential play. So haven't seen that since then.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty cool that they are willing to commit to that, because so far, most of the attempts to take Tracer away from a Tacita, not through a ban, but through a pick, have been shut down pretty heavily.
I was impressed with, or I guess I was surprised by Wish's priority of Tracer in the last game, and it shows up here again. It really shows how much prioritization they put on Tracer for Poyok. Like, Poyok is a really good Tracer. His pulse bombs pretty much all connected that last game. And so it doesn't surprise me that they prioritize it here, but I don't necessarily agree with it because it gives Team Liquid the chance to adapt in the draft. They have 4 picks to respond to an Abathur Tracer.
I think the main reason why they picked Tracer this early is just because they want to deny the option to Team Liquid to play with Tracer.
Play with the test Tracer, yeah.
I mean, you are forced. Either you allow it as an option at least, or you just say, okay, we have to pick it away. And if you pick it away, I think the only chance where you can make it work is if you combo it off with Abathur.
Yeah. Just the pick-off potential when you have the Tracer Abathur. The rotations are under so much pressure when there's a Tracer with an Abathur hat threatening at any point. So it does make a lot of sense. And similar to like Towers of Doom when rotations are punished by Abathur, you can make a similar argument for Battlefield of Eternity where it's like the lane soak itself isn't as important as the objective, and rotations to the soak and from the objective are really dangerous, and Tracer just makes that even more.
All right, so Varian immediately banned out again, and that's a trend that they had in the last map already, where they said, hey, we play with Tracer, we make sure that Varian is not going to pressure this. And now we have a bit of, I mean, it's not really a support choke these days, but I feel we have enough viable supports right now, but definitely one of the strongest supports banned out. Normally we see the battle between Uther and Rhaegar happening. With Uther Tassadar already claimed by Team Liquid, they can now easily take Rhaegar away. You mentioned a bit of synergy that we have, of course, with Tracer and Rhaegar as well. It was also evident on the last map. Right now, that taken away. Which one do you go to?
Honestly, I don't know what support I'd want from Team Wish's perspective, but you do make a good point. Like, the Rhaegar ban really targets the fact that Team Wish, early picking Tracer, doesn't have a lot of wave clear, and they don't want the support to have wave clear. I mean, Abathur does compensate for that a little bit, but of the supports available, I honestly kind of like the idea of a Brightwing, but Brightwing solo support's not great. But she does have a lot of synergy with the Tracer.
What do you think about Karazim? I think I actually want to go Karazim, get dive. You're able to do some decent damage on the Immortal.
I mean, Karazim has at least a synergy with Abathur, which is great for him, because you have even more chase potential. So now you have Trace as a good target for the symbiote, you have Karazim as a good target for the symbiote, and that's actually the path that they take.
Yeah.
Now they actually have a lot of dive available. They can decide to burn down a target here with a Tyrael dive into a Sanctification. Man, even a Judgment if they're feeling that gutsy, but against a Uther with potential cleanse and of course Divine Shield, that could be difficult. But Team Wish, they're looking a little bit all in on this draft.
It's definitely, I mean, I love the Tyrael Sanctification potentially now too, but at the same time, that is a draft that is highly mobile, first of all, so an extremely mobile draft, but also a draft that is not really beefy. That's not a tanky draft right now, and that's the one problem. If you gain the momentum and you can really play the mobility card, it's fantastic.
And the front line from Liquid is going to be hard to push through.
But if you fall behind, then you're basically just running back to the core the entire time.
Imagine Team Wish's draft defending an Immortal. I don't see a scenario where that ends up super well unless they wipe the enemy team. So I definitely think Team Wish has to play like defensive on the Immortal and make sure that if they do give that Immortal, they're getting advantages elsewhere on the map. Because if they fall behind with Abathur Tracer, it'll be hard to come back.
I'm looking at Team Liquid. I want to see them get some race in this part of the draft there.
I actually don't like the Grey Main pick.
You don't like the Grey Main pick?
I don't like the Grey Main, specifically because Karazim has already been shown, and Tyrael has a pretty good matchup from my perspective in the Grey Main. I would have liked to see Team Liquid honestly shift into something a little bit slower, because Team Wish's draft, they want to play slow, they want to play under their Immortal, and then pick people off in rotations. Team Liquid should recognize that and potentially move into... Like, I would have loved to see a Li Ming, honestly, play it slow, let Tassadar Li Ming slowly poke down the Immortal. But the Grey Main also has bad matchup into Earth Ally from Karazim.
What I actually even thought... I mean, you have a rough time at the beginning against Tracer, but with the double support, I was really thinking along the lines of Lunara. Going into Greater Spell Shield on level 13 helps you a lot with survivability. Until then, you have to baby her the entire time and make sure that she doesn't fall against a Pulse Bomb. But with the shield on Tassadar and Uther, also with that front line, you should be able to make that happen. And once you have Greater Spell Shield, you're in a fantastic position, I feel, against this lineup. So I would have preferred that over a Grey Main that is going to run into the Sanctification eventually.
For me, I do like the Grey Main, though, because you have that factor of the, oops, I killed your Tracer. With you go for the throw, if you ever stepped a little bit too far, you go for the kill. Granted, it is Poik and there are save graces here, but I can see why Team Liquid goes for it. You have the immediate swipe into the engage. You don't have the Tassadar shields to give a little bit too much of a difficult matchup. I don't mind it. Yeah,
I honestly think Grey Main can work. He's just a solid ranged damage dealer. But the thing that really interests me is the Malthael. And Malthael into Arthas, Grey Main, Tassadar, they don't have actually that much pressure for him, so I think it's going to be a really good game from the perspective of Malthael. That pick, to me, the fact that it made it that far on BOE into like the Arthas and stuff really surprised me. I think that Malthael is going to have a lot of fun this game.
Yeah, should definitely, especially when we're getting to the later stages. The one thing that I'm interested in is which path he goes down. Black Harvest, or are we seeing Throwing Shade for a poke from a distance, which has, at least in Europe, become a lot more popular right now. So actually Team Liquid, if I'm not mistaken, that started that trend, exactly. And if you hit 20 and you have Final Curtain, then you get even more value out of it.
Yeah, the power spike in the late game is really strong.
Exactly.
It's time to pick here. Glarong, who wins?
You know,
wait. Before you go, we are actually reversing this. You start. Before he chickens out again at the end, you know.
I actually lean towards Team Liquid. I like the Grey Main. I know you guys had your doubts on it, but I feel like it's enough here to really mess with what Zealots have gone with. So I'm going with Team Liquid.
I think it's for me it's a toss-up, actually. It depends a lot on how Liquid plays. Overall, I would have said, I actually prefer that draft a little bit, except for the Grey Main, but I think that Wish makes it because they have I feel their comp is a lot harder to pull off.
Sure.
But I think they can do it, especially with Poik against on Tracer. He has the confidence, and I believe in him now.
All right.
Yeah, I think the burden of execution definitely is on Wish. I think that their comp is harder to run. But at the same time, in that last game, they showcased patience and strategical prowess. So I give the edge to Wish for sure. But yeah, I think Wish will win.
All right, let's do it here. Game number 3. We're all tied up 1-1. Team Wish taking on Team Liquid, and we're going to Battlefield of Eternity.
Game number 3, the series is tight as we have 2 left. Team Wish with Grand Paquette on Karazim, Mopsio on Tyrael. We see Poik once again on Tracer. Zarmony on Malthael once more as on the last map, and Shat for the second. Pseudo support is playing the Slugger.
And on the right side, in the red, Team Liquid. Splendor will be playing Uther. Blumby on Muradin, grabbing 3rd win there at level 1. Haswag playing Tassadar. Dark Mach on Arthas. And last but not least, Nurok will be your Greymate.
It's definitely going to be an interesting game, and we will see one of the teams take the lead in the series. So who's going to be the one pulling away here a little bit? We have a very mobile but also a bit squishy composition on the side of the blue team. Team Wish with a lot of high mobility heroes that can definitely put on a clinic. But if they start to lose control over the game, they could find themselves in a very awkward position here. Team Liquid with a bit more of a standard draft, a bit easier to execute. But at the same time, if they are starting to lose the game, there is definitely a lot of snowball potential for Team Wish with all that chase potential they have in the setup.
So to prevent that snowball potential from coming in, Team Liquid will have to make sure that their early game goes well. Hold on to their lanes. Poik already taking some damage there. We'll use the recall to live for now, but Team Liquid looking nice and healthy and robust on the bottom side. We'll continue to push in and work on the tower.
Yeah, Liquid definitely has a super beefy setup. You have an Arthas, you have Muradin in here, and especially with 3rd win taken for Blumby as a level 1 talent, he's going to have a very cool time here, just always moving back into these fights. And we come back to the same problem. Wish has the burden of execution for sure. If they can execute it well, if they are patient and wait for the opportunities, they have the potential to take it. And this is what they've shown in game number 2. But then again, Liquid, one of the things that we criticized in the past in this part 2 a bit about them is that they were lacking the communication and coordination that they usually excelled at, especially in phase 1. But game number 1 in this particular series showed us a lot of hope and a lot of the facets of the Team Liquid of old. So it's definitely a really cool series that we have so far, and a very close one at that.
It's a weird thing to look at. When you have those moments from Team Liquid, you're like, oh, they're back for game 1. And then game number 2, you're like, ah, missing out there. It's just been a team that's been around for so long and has so much history that you can't almost just want them to be able to get back to their old form of glory.
Now, keep in mind that a lot of the players that we have for the Zealots, for Team Wish now, actually like players that have been in the scene for a long time, ever since Alpha, but of course as a team they don't have the same amount of experience. Here comes that aggression that we've been talking about, and a lot of, like, it's really explosive how they play. They see a chance, they jump in, and they really start to pressure heavily. And with them running an Abathur composition, they're already being a bit of a nuisance with all those toxic nests on the map. Keep in mind, though, that Abathur went with his level 1 talent straight into with his Carapace, so regenerative microbes, trying to support Tracer a little bit more. This is something that we're going to see later. But the Abathur composition starts to really come online with level 10.
Tassadar even getting picked up there with Poik, finding him on the back right side. Dimensional Shift was used earlier as Grandpa went in for the fight. And now Team Liquid will be forced to sit on defense. Poik moves in, starts hammering on top of this Immortal, and it looks like they'll get the first halftime show.
Poik is just a monster. This guy is such a beast on Tracer, it's not even funny. He's so incredibly good on that hero, and he knows exactly where the line is. At this point, he might be in a bit of trouble, though, since he moved straight into the Howling Blast, nearly falls, but is still able to move out, but it at least gives Team Liquid an opportunity to move in and defend their own Immortal for now. But that he got that kill against Tassadar this early on already was just super impressive, and he just continues to show these plays.
This is where Nurok will have to be careful here. He's already working on the Immortal on the right side while the rest of the team does defend, but they have to watch out for a flank. If Tracer comes on the side with a Malthael as well, Nurok will fall pretty darn quickly. And Team Wish moves in for the aggressive play on defense, but Team Liquid may have caught out a Zarmony. There goes Malthael. Poik also going in for Nurok. A shield comes out the last second, keeps him alive, and Team Liquid will now have the 5v4. Yeah. It's explosive right now between our teams.
Definitely. They go for the kills, and they have very decisive decision-making right now. I'm absolutely loving that. Now we have, again, Malthael down, but Malthael is going to come back in a second. Now Poik is on the move back. Moves out once more, and still, Wish has the lead here, but Team Liquid is willing to go for the race, especially since Maltfield is not with the team just yet. It's going to be a close one, but it looks as if Team Wish is going to claim victory in the first Immortal race. So they take it here, and now they have a bit of an opportunity to gain additional experience by breaking through the bottom wall. But there's only a very small shield available for Immortal number 1.
Yeah, Team Liquid decided to go ahead and go for the trade there with them, both running low on mana. The Greymane, Muradin, Northus decided, all right, we can't sustain these constant dance backs between these two teams here. So they pull back, and that'll fit the Immortal that will be coming their way. How does Team Wish intend to push here? They're actually setting up a nice little gank on the top right side. They may have found an Uther. Splinter doing a solid job of disengaging, though. Will be fine. Comes down to help out the defense.
Yeah, this is just trying to get a bit of a lead thanks to the structure elimination. They're going for the second tower after the first one has already been taken down. So with that, they will hit the earlier level 7. Now also, simply to point it out, Black Harvest has been claimed on level 4, so we're going to see the big power spike for Zomni around level 16 once the DIA get the synergy. We have a lot more poke potential against the Immortal if you go into throwing Shade on level 4, but it also means that your huge team fight power spike hits later on level 20 when you go into Final Curtain. So definitely something where Zomni is already showing that he will be a bit more focused on the team fights overall.
Yeah, you're talking about 16s, but I'm more interested in level 10 there. When Sanctification comes on, Tormented Souls, the dive potential from Team Wish will be aggressive, but also in a spot where I feel like they have to get a kill in their aggression. If they don't get one, Team Liquid can answer back. The Divine Shield, the Stop a Pulse Bomb allows for Greymane to move in for the fight, and that third win kicking in for Muradin will be a nuisance around the Immortal phase.
Also keep in mind that for Karasim later on, we also have very powerful talents coming online, especially with him now already heading straight into the Blinding Speed. If he gets his Cleansing Touch, that's going to be super important against so many targets that can lock down Tracer and be a huge threat here with Howling Blast, Storm Bolts, and of course also the additional stuns from Uther himself.
8 hitting here for Team Wish. They have a full half level over their opponents. Avatar soaking during the Immortal phase definitely helped out with that, especially with the turrets being grabbed on the bottom side. Team Liquid dancing where they can, but Darkmok having a really rough time in that top lane with Avatar popping in there with the Malthael and just allowing for him to win that fight.
Arthas has absolutely no chance of winning that top lane as long as Malthael is present. It's Shad, of course, that helps out with Abathur, but even against Malthael alone, it's already a pretty tall order. Now we see, again, on the side of Team Wish, a slight lead in experience. And a good timing from both teams as they're heading into their mercenary camp, timing it perfectly with the objective so that each team will be forced to react to that push. But we have Team Liquid actually even with an advantage since they were able to claim the second camp up at the top.
Should be able to clear that out, but Team Liquid will have the opportunity to move in and get some damage on their Immortal. It spawns the defensive positions for both of our teams, which is good for Team Wish. They want to be able to clear out that top.
And they also want delay. They have the lead in experience. They want to get to level 10. So if they can delay this entire endeavor, that would be fantastic for them. The defense has started up at the top. Greymane has been sent down to the bot lane to do the same thing for Team Liquid. But it's all about reaching level 10 for Team Wish right now. They are the team that is absolutely willing to just wait this out a bit until they hit their heroic abilities, since it allows them to aggressively push in, maybe even get a kill, and at least win the halftime show.
And they're almost there. 9 3/4. Team Liquid making the move in to apply some damage to the Immortal. If they see an opportunity, maybe get a kill in the next 10 seconds. But if nothing pops out for them, they'll have to pull away and play very defensive, as they are just now about to hit level 9.
And with level 10, they are also going to get, of course, Abathur's 10. So we will have the copy available. And they're already starting to push in a little bit. They need to be careful with Karasim. Grand Paquette moving out just barely. That was a close call here. And he will have to tap. He's a bit of time away. But Abathur, in the meantime, can once again start to soak experience. As we have the halftime show nearly reached. Team Liquid using this aggressive stance right now to get some pressure in before their opponent hit their heroic abilities.
Now they only have 2 waves of soak here, which will put them about 9.5 and 9 3/4 in experience. Team Wish moves into the Immortal and they start to burn it down. They're wanting to move towards the halftime show. Team Liquid did put Tacit Arnuther on the bottom, but there's no minion wave for them to grab here, which is making it a bit difficult for them to match their opponents.
Again, we have the halftime show already won. Level 10s online, Palm taken, Sanctification. Wish is about to move in. Liquid is looking to see if they can maybe delay this, but they need to be careful, especially Darkmook is already in trouble and is immediately being attacked by Poik. Abathur helping out as well. Mobsio jumps in. There's the cleanse. Darkmook in trouble, and Arthur's already down as we see the Tormented Souls being popped on the side of Malthael. He jumps in again, and so does Tyrael. They go for the kill. They get Splendor, and also with Uther and Arthur's eliminated, they can now easily go for the Immortal and take it just as Team Liquid gets their heroic abilities.
A major mistake there from Team Liquid. Arthas getting caught on the top right corner, could not escape. The team came over to try and keep him alive, but them coming in was actually spelling out their doom. Zarmony comes in with the Tormented Souls and forces the fight, and now we have a big immortal here for Team Wish. Luckily for Team Liquid, they will hit 10 themselves, but defense is something they'll have to set up for.
Very nice interrupt against Mopsio, by the way, so he has to make a big choice now. He's moving up to the top and he's going to tap the fountain. His idea was to move back and heal at the Nexus before he goes back in, and that is significantly, of course, reducing his long-term sustain on the lane right now, but he needed the mana. They're starting to move in here, and we still have the Divine Palm ready, but here comes that flank. Now that Liquid has 10, they have a lot more potential in these fights, and Mopsio is already in trouble. Palm has hit, not being triggered. The late kill against Tyrael. Great move by Team Liquid.
They're going to pop the Archon as well. Dimensional Shift being utilized. Shadow will be the target as they try to focus him down on the ultimate evolution clone, but the Howling Blast from Malthael on the backside. Will Hostile and crew be able to chase forward? The answer is no, as Nurok being on the bottom side clearing up the Immortal has slowed down the push available for Team Liquid.
Very well played here by Team Liquid. A great flank that they have, and of course with their level 10 they definitely have a lot of power in these fights right now. Especially the sustain that they have is going to make it very difficult for Wish to get these kills. Now again, keep in mind, Team Wish has a good comp so far, 3 kills against 2, they have a slight lead in experience. When we look on the map, they lead in structures, but it's the burden of execution that is on them. Their composition is tougher to play. The later stages will reward them with powerful talents, especially after we see the Cleansing Touch for Karazim. He can negate a lot of the stuns and lockdowns that Team Liquid has, but right now they want to look for these explosive kills, and flanks are something that they have sometimes trouble to deal with, especially when Sanctification, as it was in the last fight, is on cooldown.
Team Liquid, realizing that Sanctification and Tormented Souls would be available, didn't force the fight on the top side, which allowed for Team Wish to move in and take away the mercenary camps. For now, Team Liquid is just looking to tie it up in experience, and with their last kill, they were able to do so closer and closer, a little under half a level away from their opponents, but closer than they were before. They can both get 13 on the next Immortal phase and be in a spot where they can fight.
Yeah, right now with all the cooldowns available, a fight would definitely be good for Wish when they try to push with 13. Team Liquid, as you said, they are trying to grab, of course, the same talent, and they should be able to really force a battle on even talents for the Immortal that is now spawning in another 20 seconds. So this is a little bit more even when we compare it to the first Immortal, where Team Wish definitely, sorry, the second Immortal, where Team Wish actually got that lead with the level 10 abilities. 13 is already in, and what we're seeing on 13 for Karazim is immediately the Sixth Sense taken. With all the stuns and roots available on the side of Team Liquid, makes a lot of sense here. I also want to highlight again the Divine Storm for Uther. Huge against Tracer. So definitely an adjustment that we saw from Splendor here, and this is really what Poik has to be aware of and pay attention to, since they don't have a Tacita for a shield. It's only Abathur that can help.
Good against Tracer, but also great against Tyrael too. If you find that lockdown,
yeah,
you can blow him up quickly there, so a good pickup here for Team Liquid.
Interrupt the Sanct, for example,
yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. Blumby will be on the right side here as Team Wish is able to get the jump on the gun here onto the Immortal phase. Dark Mark will start moving forward to slow that down, but already a nice lead.
Top lane, on the other hand, is really suffering on the side of Wish. That camp is getting solid value, even with Abathur on the lane. But once again, the poke starts here, and this is where Malthael is nearly completing his level 4 talent. So 116 hits for them. They will get a good power spike with him and can engage into these fights later on. But let's see, since Liquid also has, of course, with healing static, a lot more sustain for Blumby in particular up at that front line, thanks to that synergy that he has with his level 4 talent. Keeping Muradin alive, having that big front line that keeps especially Malthael in check later on.
Speaking of quest too, Cocktail about to finish up there, about 4 away here for the Greymane, but he's got to poke in here when we fight around the Immortal, so that when that finishes up, that makes it even easier for them to soften up a already weak team for Team Wish. Team Wish is moving in, and Mopsio is the target for Team Liquid. He gets low on health, down to about a third.
Not having its cleanses available just yet through Karazim is a big problem for them for sure. But they go in once again. Here comes the Tormented Souls already being popped. The Divine Storm comes out, but it might not be enough. We see Zarmony just absolutely shredding through Team Liquid, pushing them back. Everybody's low. They're trying to escape, but Blumby might still fall. And Muradin indeed does. He goes down. Never even popped his avatar.
Divine Storm actually missing 2 with Sanctification coming out before it, preventing it from locking down multiple targets. Team Wish able to push forward and get the Immortal.
So at this point they're going in, but Mopsio is low again. It jumps back out. The Palm is used, but again, Team Liquid with the coordination. The problem is that they still lose Greymane, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. Then Tacita and Uther die. And with Team Wish having the mobility that we highlighted of one of their biggest assets in this game, they are just chasing them down one after another. Liquid is on the run, and they just can't keep their heroes alive here. Big lead for Team Wish, a level ahead already, and with a big Immortal, they now move through that top lane.
And 16 is about to hit as well, making it even more difficult for Team Liquid to defend this Immortal coming forward. They need to burn down the shields, but the shields moving in with the Immortal will be enough to maybe warrant a keep here if Team Wish chooses to be aggressive.
No cleansing touch actually for Karazim taken. Way over 100 fists now claimed for Karazim. Grand Paquette moving in, trying to make this composition even more aggressive than it already is. So not afraid of those lockdowns that we're seeing on the side of Team Liquid.
Team Wish deciding not to push with the Immortal. They're going to run to the bottom instead. Maybe try and catch a murder or at least soak the experience. And we're going to have a defense from Team Liquid, so they can breathe a sigh of relief here as they are waiting for 16 themselves. All they need to do is make sure they play safe and don't get picked off before the next Immortal phase, and Team Liquid will be able to fight 16 Talonteers.
Yeah, but the pressure play that we're seeing from Wish right now is going to be huge. It's, first of all, way over 100 fists is going to be super scary for the target that Tracer chooses in the fights. And now we have also Memento Mori. So Malthael is absolutely online with Reaper's Mark right now. And that is a scary thought. Especially since with Tyrell having Holy Ground now available to himself, that's another tool where you can really isolate a target. And if everybody jumps on that one target, you can get a great kill there. So these team fights are currently very, very difficult for Team Liquid. Especially as you highlighted earlier, the Sanctifications are as much on point as they were in that last battle. Wish is getting super aggressive right now, taking the camp away from their opponent, so they can't even time it with the next Immortal. Team Liquid is going to get their 16, but still, it is a solid lead for Team Wish at this point.
They're flaunting at that point. Don't you wish you could contest us here and try and fight around the Merc camp? You cannot with us being 16 above you. Finally, Team Liquid does hit 16, so now they're in a spot where they can finally defend against their opponents, but they still have to clear out everything that's been thrown at them. Team Wish is controlling this battleground way too much for Team Liquid to even get into a spot to get aggressive on the next Immortal phase.
And of course now they're going to put Team Liquid on a timer by claiming the camp on the left side. So this one is going to push through. They're going to not take it immediately. They're going to wait a little bit longer, just a few seconds, so that the camp is going to get value while the Immortal is on the map. Abathur tries to help out a little bit and is going to be the one claiming it. And they actually already put the damage on Blumby here, but the Holy Ground did not perfectly connect. So they couldn't completely isolate him here, but the camp is now taken. The bot lane therefore is getting pressured, so time is working in favor of Team Wish for now.
Team Liquid sets up defense on their Immortal, waiting it out here with the camp being on the bottom side. This does work out for them.
And they still have their fountain. That's another big thing. They just tapped at the fountain. Team Liquid doesn't have that. Both of their forts are eliminated, so they cannot simply move back like this. Once again, we have them moving in. Tracer is starting to really tickle away with the damage. Sanctification used early, though. Not really traded, and that's a problem. And also, the Pulse Bomb is missing this time. Wish does not get the perfect fight into this, but at least the Palm connects for now.
The Palm does connect, will be proc there. Zarmi puts Tormented Souls into use. Dies as the back line, goes straight into Splendor and Blumby. Darkmonk gets punched to death as Team Liquid just melts to Zarmony and Mopsio.
Zarmony goes in and he is death incarnated. He takes them down one after another. That's the kill immediately against Uther and Greymane. They jump over it and take them down. Hazops is on the run, but Grand Paquette with a way of 100 fists is getting easy kills here. The wall forced Team Wish with a 2-level lead, and the Immortal is wide open, and the camp is still getting value at that bot lane. Team Wish is just absolutely dominating with this composition. And Malthael in particular, oh my god, you want to pay attention to Tracer during the fight, but then you see Malthael jumping in, and the one time that Liquid cannot wait out the Palm and triggers it a bit too early, he just destroys everything.
Incredible patience there to use the Tormented Souls after the Palm does connect there. Allows for Team Wish to clean it up. The Immortal phase has already gone to halftime show. Team Wish is already starting to burn it down. Team Liquid is nowhere near the opponent's Immortal at all. This will be a full shield.
Malthael has the highest damage in the game against heroes right now, and it's not a surprise considering how these fights are going. He's always in the middle, in the thick of things here, and it's just destroying everything. Gets kill after kill, he gets them low, and then Tracer, Karazim, and everybody else are just chasing them down one by one. And now we have nearly level 20 for Team Wish, and we have a full shield Immortal. This is a disaster at this point for Team Liquid. The keep at the top lane is already being attacked. They can't do anything about it. This keep is gonna fall. And with Sanctification around, you can sank that core, and that's what they're trying to do here.
So rushing it down with a full 3-level lead of their opponents, 20 being hit. Team Wish is looking for the win on the
That
core.
was early.
Shad even using Tracer. The Sanctification will be utilized. Splinter comes in with the Divine Storm, trying to slow it down. Zarmany popping the Tormented Souls and is shredding through the Immortal. Not even here, but he doesn't have to be. The core falls, and that's it. Team Wish grabs a lead over Team Liquid 2-1.
Jump in, they take it. Sanctification maybe a bit early, but they were afraid of the Divine Storm hitting there. And to be honest, even if they just barely don't kill the core, the Immortal takes it.
Yeah.
The Immortal already went nearly through the entire keep at the time that the core was already low, and it still had half the shields available. At that time in the game, 1 hit against the core, 2 hits, and it's down if you already damaged it beforehand. So incredibly well done by Team Wish, and that
very
was
smart decision making.
Pretty cool.
Like Zarmany in particular, in the early game, I don't know if he had the confidence he showed later in the game, but I think inherently Malthael ramps up, so that could be a factor. But throughout that game, Zarmany like put on a clinic in the mid to late stage fights. Like that's the perfect scenario for Malthael. Like there's the one team fight where Palm just barely connects, and then instantly out of it, Tormented Souls, and he gets like probably close to 60% of his life back off that Tormented Souls, like really good value, and they're able to win the team fight off that. Like they played a really slow and patient game with the Abathur. I'm really impressed with how they played that map.
Yeah, and especially since, I mean, Team Liquid was waiting out 2 palms, and the palms weren't bad. It's just Team Liquid had the coordination to wait them out properly.
Yeah.
But even with that happening, they won those fights, and they showed that mobility that we've been talking about. They never were in that spot where the game turns against them and they have to defend. So that was just extremely well executed.
Glauwing, I gotta ask you, what if you're Team Liquid, what were you supposed to do in that game to even have a chance to control that Malthael?
Okay, so this is a topic of discussion that I've actually like gone into with my team in the past. Abathur on Battlefield of Eternity really messes things up and changes the way you need to approach the game. Suddenly, the win condition for Wish is they can sit around and wait, and Abathur will slowly develop a lead far enough to where they can safely pressure an advantage. So Team Liquid, with that perspective in mind, what I think they needed to do a little bit more would be put a high emphasis on fast clear on both the lanes, and then 5-man force. It doesn't matter that you're at a numbers disadvantage technically because you're fighting into the enemy Immortal. I feel like it's high risk, high reward. You're either going to lose the game in 8 minutes or you're going to be able to snowball and win. And I think if they were to approach it with that level of confidence, maybe it would have been a different game.
Okay.
But Team Wish with Abathur was able to just like play it slow, sit underneath their Immortal, let Abathur catch the soak, and then once Team Liquid makes a mistake or they have an XP advantage, like we saw them invade the night camp with the level 16 advantage, they're either just going to wait until they have an advantage or punish a mistake. That's all Wish has to do. So even though their comp is hard to execute, Tyrael, Monk with Palm and Sank, it still makes the macro-oriented focus of the game way more difficult for Team Liquid.
Do you feel that in hindsight, coming back to the draft, that Greymane was something where they could have gone into like a damage dealer from a backline and just have a bit more value here?
The game would have been a lot easier for Team Liquid, I think, if they did opt into, you know, like we discussed, Liming or Lunar or something, simply because of the fact that instead of having to all in the Immortal, like I just discussed, they needed to change.
You can poke.
You can suddenly change the game to where you're catching both the side lanes of Soak and you're constantly keeping 4 in the middle of the map instead of at the enemy Immortal, and you're able to just poke it down eventually. And so I think that's an adjustment